going to ask Kenneth Adams, the head of the Economic ESDC, Empire State Development Corporation. Ken, do you have a few words for us?
Secretary Perales wants to keep us on track, on schedule, and he's been doing a masterful job of that all day, actually going back some 24 hours ago or more when we began this process. So I'll just be brief, and really the point of my coming before you is to thank you on behalf of Governor Andrew Cuomo and frankly the members of the Strategic Implementation Assessment Team, Secretary and myself, for coming to Albany today. There was some hubbub in the room as the Southern Tier came to the dais, and that was the result of the Capital Region team trying slowly to leave. A lot of fun and networking, but you know, they have an advantage, that team, which is they live here. So they brought lots of people because they're mostly close by, and they hung around for a bit, which was always good. We've had a lot of fun in the overlap between presentations, and it's been going extremely well. We welcome you, and again, we thank you for doing it this way this year. We changed the logistics, as most of you know, not doing the tour to the region with the buses and the logistics and those complications that we've done in the past. So those are helpful visits, to be sure. There is some degree to which we miss that, but we also gain from the concentration and the focus of the groups, the regional council teams, coming to Albany, making their presentations, yes, with some time constraints, the Q&A from the members of the team. And we can tell you, again, having begun this process with our first group, which was New York City yesterday, it's been going extremely well. So again, our thanks, and please extend our thanks to the members of your regional council from the Southern Tier who didn't make the trip up to Albany today. And then by extension to the many members, please thank the many members of the work groups and the various committees that have made your success since day one in this initiative so significant, and which no doubt continue to propel all of your good work in the Southern Tier. And just as a reminder to you from the Southern Tier, we're reminded of this because we have the privilege of hearing every one of the presentations, that when you add it all up and you think about the sort of volunteer firepower behind this initiative, if you had 500 or 600 or 700 people involved in different ways on work groups and subcommittees in one region, but you multiplied that by 10, you get the scope of all of the volunteer work, many, many hours, thoughtful contributions from all across towns, villages, counties, cities, through all of these 10 regions. It really is remarkable. Again, we have the advantage of getting to see it. It's a privilege. And we thank you so much for being a part of that. So with that, we look forward to your presentation. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Either Harvey or Tom will introduce the folks on that side of the room.
Okay, well, I think we're going to start out. Thank you very much. Is it working? For once again hosting us. I'm Tom Tranter, and I'm... a little.
Cesar, do you want us to start the presentation now?
Oh, yeah, after you introduce yourselves and...
Okay. Actually, the two people on the end, Bruce Boya, Security Mutual, Michael Prinup, Watkins Glen International, Mike Luigi, and Mike Shesky are going to be speaking about their projects as we go through. So
Good.
We'll introduce them a little more at that time. But we, again, thank you for allowing us and giving us the opportunity to present our accomplishments and to really highlight what's occurred over the last 3 years. We're really proud of it. And as you know, we were the first region to do a video, and we're once again going to start there. So if Robin's got that, this will be our third video, and we'll open it up with that. And I'm hoping it works.
It'll work, Tom.
Yeah, right, thanks.
We began with the ambitions of our businesses and the best ideas from our campuses, expressed as 7 integrated and evolving strategies. 3 years later, the Regional Economic Development Council of the Southern Tier is proud to present this We began with the ambitions of our businesses and the best ideas from our campuses, expressed as 7 integrated and evolving strategies. 3 years later, the Regional Economic Development Council of the Southern Tier is
Like it's having
proud
a
to present
problem.
this record of
Maybe we could
achievement.
try this one more
60
time.
priority projects.
We're very high-tech.
Yes, no.
The good news is it's on YouTube if you want to watch it. It is.
We'll take them out.
I guess it's not going to work.
It's going to work. It's been tested.
Okay. Harvey says it's going to work.
I know.
Is there someone behind the someone behind the curtain?
Who's doing this? There it is.
Now we just need
Oh,
sound.
there it is.
Now you need sound.
Picture but no sound.
Oh,
Well, it speaks for itself. Mute.
I hear it somewhere.
Trying everything, but it's not.
Nope.
It was a great project at Corey.
You guys can provide the sound if you like.
Yeah, we've already hired 186
filtration
people.
piece,
And
remember last
expect
year?
to be at 250. Yeah.
It's a really good video.
It's a really good one.
Take your word for it.
So in telemedicine, the money went to Arnett Hospital, and then this is the Elmira College Health Science Program. It's training 43 more nurses every year, baccalaureate in nursing. This is one of our revitalizing the forest-based economy with the rural.
We don't have this within our presentation. We don't have the ability to talk about the last 3 years.
Yeah, that's all I know.
We can just go home.
When the last
The test amount of money.
Cow comfort increases milk production.
There's somebody here that knows how to make this thing work. We're saying it. And testing.
It's too
Well,
bad.
I'll tell you what, Secretary, why don't we begin with our next part of the presentation, and if our audiovisual folks behind the curtain can get this to work, we will come back to it
Great.
at the end.
Good.
It's a 9-minute video. It describes the last 3 years of our work. We will not cover that in our presentation, but if that video can be restarted, we'll do that then. So, but let me thank our videographer, Steve Craig, a member of our regional council, for putting together an outstanding video.
He's done it for all 3 years at no cost to the council,
Yes.
which is really
Great.
tremendous.
So, having said that we will come back to our last 3-year review. we'd
Does he
like
know
to-
anything about talkies?
He actually narrated it, but the problem's not with him. I think it's with the technical people.
So, let me begin to talk about what we are planning in the future. First, our vision. I think we've stuck to this vision over the 4 years that we've been involved in this process, the Council of the Southern Tier continues to be committed to this vision that we believe is unique and that it capitalizes on our current assets. It leverages our globally competitive advantages. It is forward-looking. It provides guidance and direction for our strategic action plan. And we don't believe that these are just words. It's really what we do practice, and we intend to demonstrate to you today just how we are accomplishing this vision with projects that are closely linked to the initiatives and priorities that you and the governor has set out for us in round 4. Before we start talking about our specific plans for the coming years, we want to point out that this year we decided to focus on 5 of our 7 strategic objectives. These 5 include next generation technology and manufacturing, revitalizing the rural, farm, and forest-based economy, technology development and transfer, which we believe is a great job generator, the opportunity agenda, and the economic development backbone. In addition to focusing on these 5 strategic priorities, the Southern Tier has been actively committed to supporting the governor's priorities in this round. We're going to take a few minutes to describe how our priority projects support each of these initiatives. Although we don't have time to describe all of our competitive priority projects, we hope that this will give you a flavor of our continued commitment to the governor's initiatives this year in ways that are strategic, realistic, and, we believe, results-oriented. We're confident that the Southern Tier region will demonstrate our ability and capacity to bring about real economic change with a $25 million award to support our priority projects in round 4. The governor's Global New York initiative was integrated into 5 of our 7 strategic objectives and was a primary criteria used in our project pipeline efforts and selecting the majority of our round 4 priority projects. In our progress report, we recommend a total of 28 priority projects, of which 9, or approximately 1/3, directly support our Global New York strategy. They represent nearly $6.4 million of our $25 million of funding requested. These projects include strengthening our region's tourism industry, our manufacturing capacity, technology development, and workforce development. And the cumulative impact of these 9 projects in this round leverages $32 million in private investment. It will create 280 jobs. It will retain 700 jobs. And it will expand us into new global markets.
One of our focuses this year is building on the region's advanced manufacturing sector into a leader of global exports and becoming a technological hub for next generation development. As you probably know, the Southern Tier region has the strongest manufacturing base of the 10 regions based on the percentage of manufacturing jobs of the total jobs. We have expertise and partnerships in place to expand business and use university-industry relations to catalyze and support collaborative growth in emerging sectors. A great example of this is Emhart Glass, which will relocate its administrative headquarters and its manufacturing operations to a new facility located in a target opportunity agenda. This total project, as you can see from the numbers there, is about $8 million, and it will retain 111 high-paying manufacturing jobs. Another strategic objective is to expand and increase the sustainability of our agriculture and forest businesses and expand into global markets. And a good example of this project is Tioga Hardwoods, which is proposing an expansion of its processing with the acquisition and installation of a new kiln. The company has been growing and is investing $1.3 million into this addition that will enable it to expand its global export activity, creating 6 jobs and retaining an additional 41. An exciting project is this company, Sportsfield Specialties, located in rural Delaware County. The company has been cited in recent media coverage as one of the most exciting business development stories both within the region and the state and even the nation. They manufacture goalposts for pro and college football, soccer, steeplechase, field and track equipment, baseball, batting tunnels, and dugouts, to name just a few. You've probably seen their goalposts in, for example, the Super Bowl. Sportsfield plans to undertake a $7 million expansion to construct an additional 57,000 square feet of its manufacturing facility in Delhi. The project will leverage $5.7 million in private investment, create 37 new jobs, retain 107 jobs, and expand the capacity to support its ambitious but realistic global export strategy. The project also supports the strategic objective to strengthen and grow our region's business base and gain national attention for our products. Growing tourism is also a priority for the Southern Tier and has been from the beginning. An important project directly linked to both the Global New York, the Opportunity Agenda, and the Veterans Initiative is the Watkins Glen International Improvement Project, which actually was our top-rated project of all this year. There isn't anyone better who can explain the importance of this project in New York State's tourism industry better than the president of Watkins Glen International, the person to my left, Mr. Michael Printup, who's been the president there for the past 5 years. Michael?
Thank you, Tom. Yes, as Tom's pointed out, in our competitive nature, not only on the track but also in business, we've grown substantially in our tourism projects. That's our goal. With the help of I Love New York, we've also expanded heavily into Canada and drawing heavily from Connecticut, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. While growing all those markets, our global business, for example, growing this weekend. We announced a new Ferrari Challenge with the governor this past spring, brought that over. Drivers from all over the world are attending Watkins Glen this weekend. So our famous history goes back 65 plus years. $204 million is our economic impact on an annual basis. We're the largest sport in New York State held annually. We promote it with about $2 million a year throughout the states and throughout Canada. And we also work in conjunction with Lord March in England as well, trying to promote there. Our goal in many programs, and I already mentioned I Love New York, but also our veterans, and we've worked directly with Colonel Hesse on the panel with the Veterans Council and promoting veterans, and we've worked with the Bath VA and we've worked with Fort Drum. Our goal is to keep recruiting, and he's put together many, many great programs along with us on displaying and explaining the Veterans Council. So that's some of the advantages we've had by being a big national and international sport, because we host many, many functions there. The other programs that we work with Schuyler County and the workforce development on the opportunity agenda is priority for us as we work within Schuyler County in some of the impoverished areas where we train, skill, and then hire these folks to help us out with our seasonal employment and our full-time employment. So we have a lot of folks right from Schuyler County that partake in Watkins Glen International. So we're fortunate that this modernization project, it not only includes the repave, it does include fiber and some other technical processes that we're going to recruit local engineers to help us with in rebuilding that racetrack and remaining competitive, because they're building a new racetrack in Fort Erie, Canada, and they're also building potentially a new one in Massachusetts. So our goal is to stay competitive and above and beyond anybody that might come up and make New York. This is only one of 23 in the entire country. We wish to stay there. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. We also recognize there's an immediate need to build our workforce to meet the needs of emerging growth industries and position the Southern Tier to be globally competitive. We know the strength of our international student base, both at Cornell and Binghamton University, is a key to achieving this goal. Binghamton University plans to renovate an existing building and convert that space into the global center for the university's international student services. The project leverages $4 million in other funding sources. It creates 156 new jobs and 26 construction jobs. We expect the project to lead to an increase of approximately $43 million per year in foreign investment by the end of the fourth year of growth. The Southern Tier is integrating the Govern's Veteran Initiative and our region's Opportunity Agenda strategy into many of our priority projects. In fact, 12 of this year's 28 priority projects support our Opportunity Agenda strategy. A good example is the Watkins Glen International Project, described by Michael a few minutes ago. But at the same time, we seek out projects that are definitive in terms of bringing about real change and opportunity for persons with barriers who reside in the targeted opportunity agenda areas throughout our region. A good example is AVRE, Sheeter Manufacturing Project, being undertaken by the Association for Vision, Rehabilitation, and Employment. AVRE will undertake a $1.7 million project to expand its paper manufacturing capacity in downtown Binghamton. It manufactures high-quality manila file folders, copy paper, and pressboard folders that are sold to the commercial and government markets, both locally and across the country. Luigi DeRusso, an AVRE employee, is with us today and take a moment to explain why this project is so important.
Thank you very much. My name is Luigi DeRusso, and I am the supervisor for the manufacturing area in AVRE. I understand the importance of this project to AVRE. The copy paper department is critical to the sustainment of employees at AVRE. We have 65 employees, of which several employees are veterans. 90% of the employees that work in the manufacturing department are blind. This project is also very important to me. It allows me to provide for my family and to have a great income. The PEMCO sheather will allow us to manufacture more paper at a higher rate, which will allow us to reach out to other opportunities within the region. The PEMCO sheather, again, I'm sorry, will allow us to produce more paper at a higher.
Thank you, Luigi.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Earlier this year, the Southern Tiers Workforce Development Work Group undertook an assessment of our workforce in collaboration with the local workforce development boards and the New York State Department of Labor. The result was an updated workforce development plan that names targeted job categories where there is an opportunity for growth. Among these is tourism and hospitality. SUNY Broome, our local community college, proposes to renovate the former Carnegie Library, a vacant historic building in downtown Binghamton, and create a hospitality education center. This $12.5 million project not only will create a dynamic academic program to train students in the various hospitality fields, but it also supports downtown revitalization in a targeted opportunity agenda area. Cornell University's veterinary school is planning a $67 million renovation and expansion of its facilities on the main campus in Ithaca. A CFA award of about $2.9 million will assist them with this construction project that is critical to increasing the school's enrollment by approximately 30% and supporting the region's strategic priority to strengthen and grow our rural farm economy. Cornell's veterinary school graduates also are critically important to other industries throughout New York State, such as dairy and yogurt production, as well as horse racing at Saratoga and Belmont. Also, the Southern Tiers Regional Incubator strategy is designed to leverage the region's significant innovation assets to increase the pace of commercialization, to create jobs, increase investment in R&D, increase the number of companies being formed in the region, and increase the number of students who remain in the region to start companies and join startups. In round 3, the Southern Tier was the recipient of a Hotspot award. A regional triangle was formed between Corning, Cornell, and Binghamton University. We've been aggressive in developing our strategy that involves this collaboration, and this year we've taken it one step further and linked our Hotspot initiatives also with Startup New York. And we've been partnering most recently with the North Country and Central New York to develop an interregional venture fund to seed company startups using private as well as ESD funds.
As you recall, you visited last year the Ceramic Quarter Innovation Center, and now we're expanding that into Chemung County with Corning Community College and the Startup New York program to renovate and convert a 40,000 square foot facility known formally as the Schweitzer Building. This $1.7 million project will create 50 new jobs and house the production facilities of several new businesses. In addition, the goal is to employ persons who live in Elmira's nearby opportunity agenda. This is a very dynamic project that really demonstrates our commitment to Startup New York, the Hotspot initiative, and the opportunity agenda. You may recall last year you met two entrepreneurs and toured their small incubator space in that Ceramic Quarter facility. Their company, Makuta, has made great strides and they're ready to expand production. So we have a commitment from them as well as another company, Metadyne, to take more than half of the space in this new facility. And a person that you met last year is back with us this year, Mike Oshetsky, and he's going to give the assessment team a brief update on his expansion. Michael?
Thank you, Tom. I'm Mike Oshetsky, founder of Makatu Incorporated, and since last time we spoke, Makatu is actually growing by leaps and bounds. Currently, we have 22 employees in the Makatu family between our Corning and Ithaca locations. We've been awarded several government commercial contracts, and business for us is up 500%, so it's been a pretty exciting time.
Great.
We've also brought in a full 3D production capability for our manufacturing that's supporting our global expansion of the microarray product line for our histology work with NCI. Additionally, this is bringing a new capability for the Southern Tier area of having a rapid prototyping service. I think over the next 6 months, we're expanding to 5,000 square feet within this facility. And we're also going to target 8 additional manufacturing positions, all of these which will be opportunity agenda and veteran focused. So we're really excited at this growth we've gone through, and I'd like to thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
The Southern Tier also feels strongly about supporting the New York Rising program and sought out projects that will revitalize those communities impacted by the devastating storms of Irene, Leo, and Sandy. The village of Sydney in Delaware County was one of the hardest hit. The community has worked hard to develop a redevelopment program that will strengthen its infrastructure, attract private investment, and strengthen its economic base and leverage its waterfront assets. The Village of Sydney will undertake several feasibility studies for proposed projects, such as the development of a new hotel on the waterfront and potential reuses for the former Amphenol facility. As you know from our Community Revitalization Fund, the Southern Tier believes that revitalization of our downtowns and main streets is a critical component of our overall economic development strategy. We believe these community revitalization priority projects should be targeted in the opportunity agenda areas. For these reasons, the Southern Tier Council has identified 6 projects in downtowns that include Binghamton, Corning, Norwich, and Elmira. Particular focus on round 4 is the projects that are economic development drivers to retain and grow jobs in our blighted properties that require either major rehabilitation or total demolition. 2 great examples of blighted properties include the former Corning Hospital site located in Corning and a former nursing home in downtown Binghamton. In both cases, the buildings will be demolishing, leveraging $40 million in private investment to complete this first phase, $20 million each. Private development teams are in place and an additional $60 million will be invested to complete the full build-out mixed-use development on both sites. Another major economic development driver is the construction of a parking structure in downtown Binghamton, another targeted opportunity agenda area. This $10 million project is being undertaken by Security Mutual of New York. The project is designed to retain the 2 largest employers and support several other downtown initiatives. The project will not only help address a major parking issue in the downtown, but also support the redevelopment of the Carnegie Library building that was previously talked about. And the project will leverage $8.2 million in private investment and support an additional $12 million in other projects. Bruce Boya, Chairman and CEO and President of Security Mutual, a 128-year-old New York company that employs 345 employees, is here today to talk about this anchor project in downtown Binghamton. And before I turn the mic over to him, I just want to point out, in July there was an article in the Wall Street Journal that listed Binghamton as one of the most depressed cities in the country. So if there's one area that needs the Opportunity Agenda funding, it's Binghamton. Bruce?
And that building happens to be right across the street from us that was in that article. But thank you for this opportunity to share with you the importance of this project in revitalizing downtown Binghamton, the largest metropolitan area in the southern tier. Security Mutual, as Tom just mentioned, is headquartered in Binghamton and has been there since 1886. And quite frankly, we intend to remain there. Our building itself is home to 330 employees of Security Mutual, as well as 160 employees of Hinman, Howard and Cattell, a large law firm in Binghamton, and the Savage Agency. You know, when you look at this parking facility, as has been mentioned, it will help eliminate and alleviate a very severe parking shortage in downtown Binghamton. But it's also going to be critical to the success of the SUNY Broome Hospitality Educational Center project that you just heard about a few minutes ago. That is an extremely exciting project, as it will be revitalizing a Carnegie Library, and it happens to be located right adjacent to and right near the parking facility that we're talking about. So both the parking structure and the SUNY Broome's new educational center are clearly going to have a visible and dynamic impact right in the heart of downtown Binghamton. With the funding through the CFA process, we will create a strong public-private partnership that will leverage millions of dollars to build a new anchor parking facility, attract young students to downtown, and keep 500 people working in downtown Binghamton for years to come. By the way, for the history buffs that are there, Security Mutual, which has been experiencing dramatic growth in the last 15 years, that company was actually created November 6, 1886. 8 days earlier, President Grover Cleveland dedicated the Statue of Liberty in the New York Harbor, just to give us a little historical context. And we've always been in New York, and with your help, this will solidify what we're doing here in the great state of New York.
All right. Great, thank you, Bruce. So just real quick, our commitment in year 4 is $156 million in leverage funds, 806 construction jobs, 330 new jobs, and 1,259 retained jobs. And the best news is Ryan just handed me a note that says the video is good to go. And so,
But we would like your permission because we've exceeded our time.
No, you, this is how nice I am. I'll waive my question. I want to see the video.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Secretary.
It really tells the story of what we did the first
We
3
began with the ambitions of our businesses and the best ideas from our campuses, expressed as 7 integrated and evolving strategies. 3 years later, the Regional Economic Development Council of the Southern Tier is proud to present this record of achievement. 60 priority projects, 95% either complete or underway, supporting current and future employment for more than 10,000 people by leveraging outside investment totaling $476 million. The Bates Troy commercial laundry in Binghamton, among the largest in the Northeast, is on its way to being off the electric grid. Natural gas-fueled cogen units will make process heat and generate a total of 400 kilowatts on-site, meeting the facility's electric power needs. The money saved will support additional employment. The plant is also a research site for energy rotors, which harness low-grade waste heat to make even more electricity. By setting the standard for energy efficiency in its industry, Bates Troy will serve as a national model. Corning Incorporated is nearly done expanding its advanced manufacturing capacity to support the global transportation industry. Adding more than 100,000 square feet to this plant and hiring 250 more workers will allow Corning to supply diesel emissions filters to China and Europe, where tighter regulations will drive a doubling in demand by 2017. Cloud-based telemedicine, cyber-physical patient monitoring, lab on a chip, The new Southern Tier Telemedicine and Mobile Health Research Development and Training Center at Binghamton University will explore these and other technologies to improve healthcare access and outcomes for patients in rural areas. This dynamic partnership with United Health Services and Lourdes Hospital, supported by the region's Telemedicine and Mobile Healthcare Technology Fund, will serve as a statewide model. This Round 3 project will soon advance workforce development in the healthcare field. The renovation and expansion of Elmira College's Coles Hall will make room for an additional 43 nursing students. Green Lumber's sawmill in Delaware County will be able to run thousands of additional board feet per day after completion of the electrical grid upgrade funded in Round 3. That will allow the mill to stop using costly diesel generators. The added capacity and cost savings will allow expansion that will require 20 more workers. A Round 1 Rural Initiative loan helped pay for this new freestall barn, including soft sand bedding for the 100 milk cows on the Kiplaw Dairy Farm in Shenango County. These cow comfort measures are credited with an 18% jump in milk production and should also improve overall herd health and longevity. The farm is growing food, and the bistro will soon be serving it. Both facets of TC3's multi-regional project have made swift progress since getting ESD Capital and Market New York funding in Round 3.
This whole farm to bistro, as we've been referring to it, will allow us to teach the complete spectrum of the whole food system as we know it.
Students will gain experience in sustainable agriculture, culinary arts, and hospitality management. The two new businesses will create the equivalent of more than 40 full-time jobs. The former Fair store in downtown Binghamton has undergone an $8.5 million revitalization. Retail shops are at ground level with upscale apartments above. Geared toward college students but open to anyone, the first tenants will move in this fall. The project is in an Opportunity Agenda neighborhood and is creating 20 jobs. A Round 1 Community Revitalization Loan and a Round 3 Rural Area Revitalization Projects grant helped Commerce Shenango Economic Development complete the $500,000 rescue of this early 20th century department store. The new business here integrates art, performance, educational, and retail spaces. The region's newest shovel-ready site is this 20,000 square foot former bottled water plant in Delaware County. A Round 3 award funded refitting as a turnkey facility for light manufacturing. The 14-acre site is suitable for expansion or additional buildings. The Hilliard Corporation in Elmira is now able to make more filter cartridges for the energy industry with equipment paid for in part by a Round 3 award. Sales are up because of faster order fulfillment, and the company has added 9 employees. 3 Delaware County employers will be able to expand because of added wastewater disposal capacity that won't impact the New York City watershed. Instead, SUNY Delhi will divert the treated wastewater to irrigate its golf course. A Round 3 award is helping to pay for a storage lagoon, pumps, and underground piping. An added benefit will be more flow in the Little Delaware River, which will no longer be tapped for irrigation. The Corning Museum of Glass is capitalizing on an influx of international tourists to create local jobs. A Round 3 award is supporting the museum's 100,000 square foot expansion, specifically the new motor coach entrance that will enhance the experience of international visitors. The larger museum and an expected 14% increase in international tourism will require 35 more employees. A $5 million Round 3 award is extending the Southern Tier Network's dark fiber backbone to key businesses on the I-86 corridor through Tioga and Broome counties, and to Binghamton University, an anchor node of the Innovation Hotspot and Regional Incubator.
Anything from economic development to growing new businesses to recruiting new businesses, for schools, for education, for a telemedicine initiative, for example, hospitals, healthcare, high-speed internet is absolutely needed.
The Regional Incubator is a major source of technical assistance to startups and includes the downtown Ithaca Incubator, launched early this year.
The Southern Tier Innovation Hotspot is a membership organization of 4 business incubators around our region. We're already seeing great benefits for companies in Binghamton connecting with Corning, connecting with Ithaca and around the region. These shared resources serve as a whole that's greater than the sum of their parts when it comes to helping people start and grow companies right here in the Southern Tier.
The Regional Council is also excited to see 6 new and growing Southern Tier companies already benefiting from Startup New York's generous tax incentives. In addition to integrating opportunity agenda goals across the entire strategic plan, the Regional Council also supports activities specifically tailored to bring impoverished individuals into the workforce. This summer, Broome Tioga BOCES trained 20 long-term unemployed workers as certified nursing assistants, while the new Southern Tier Regional Training System provided either CNA or home health aide training to 44 low-income individuals in Steuben, Chemung, and Schuyler counties. Public involvement that began with strategic planning is ongoing as council work groups collaborate with each other and with state agencies. With help from the local workforce investment boards and the Department of Labor, the Workforce Development Work Group used demand occupation data to evaluate workforce preparedness. The Workforce and Business Development Work Groups joined forces with academic institutions to help the Veteran Work Group match veterans with educational and job opportunities, while the Opportunity Agenda Work Group provided feedback on the integration of its goals into the overall strategic plan. And the Global New York Work Group recommended ways to increase exports, attract foreign investment in existing and new businesses, and encourage more spending by international students and other visitors. Delivering information to local communities was the goal in April when the Regional Council, along with the State Agency Response Team and the Southern Tier Central Regional Planning and Development Board, hosted more than 90 local government leaders. Topics included improving local business climates and CFA project development. 14 Southern Tier communities damaged by Hurricane Irene, Tropical Storm Lee, Superstorm Sandy, and floods last summer have submitted reconstruction plans to the New York Rising Community Reconstruction Program. The Regional Council encouraged the communities to propose Round 4 projects that would help implement those plans. Over the last 3 years, the Regional Economic Development Council of the Southern Tier has attracted near-term investment and added both job opportunities and employment security in existing industries. At the same time, we've laid a solid foundation for the long-term growth of a new innovation economy which leverages the Southern Tier's capacity for intellectual exploration and its entrepreneurial expertise. We are committed to continue building on this foundation as our Round 4 priority projects will demonstrate.
Thank you very much for letting us do that.
Thank you. Let me introduce the members of the CIAT team. Jerry Boone, the Commissioner and President of the New York State Civil Service Commission. Roanne DeStito, Commissioner of the Office of General Services. Matthew Driscoll, the President and CEO of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation.
Afternoon.
We've got Colonel Eric Hesse, who's the Director of the Division of Veterans Affairs. We've got Patrick Kerwin, who's the Director of Trade Promotion Coordinating Committee of the United States government. He's here to listen to us talk about Global New York. And last but not least, we've got our Commissioner of Taxation and Finance, Tom Maddox. I will begin with Jerry Boone.
Thank you very much. I am delighted we were able to see your video. It's an excellent video. Tells your story very well. So glad that worked out. So one of the items that you featured was your sponsorship of a program back in April of this year to bring together your council to discuss connection to local governments, and I presume you had local governmental members there as well, some 90 participants, and you talked about learnings from that, and I'm curious to hear, obviously there was a perceived need to do that, so in terms of removing barriers and improving the business climates, just the learnings and the follow-up items, action items that ensued from that.
Well, we were doing that in, I'll let Tom also answer. We're doing that in preparation for the Round 4 proposal period, and knowing that after 3 years and 2 years of being a successful region, that we would have a lot of interest this year in submitting priority projects. We wanted to start the conversation early so that when we put together our final list, that we had the consultation and the support of the regional governments. As we know, this is a $25 million, a lot of money, but it's a relatively small amount of money compared to the total county budgets and city budgets. And so we wanted to make sure that what we were doing was complementing what their plans were so that we weren't being redundant or that we had no gaps left in it. Tom, maybe you can add to that.
And we also had 2 workshops for the general public. In Binghamton, we had about 150 people, and in Ithaca, we had about 90. But to get to the specifics, there was a lot of discussion about consolidation. And I will say our region is moving very aggressively in some specific consolidation initiatives, and there are also a lot more conversation about shared services. So those were 2 topics that kind of dominated that particular meeting. And again, some progress is being made within some of the specific counties. The effort was kind of led by Southern Tier Regional Planning and Development Board. They were also kind of pushing the whole the fiber build that's occurring that you also saw, as well as Tom Schreiber was there on the hotspots and making them aware of a lot of the rules and things that went with the Startup New York program, and there was a lot of interest in that. So I would say that was kind of the summation. I don't know, Susan, if you or Alan want to.
Thank you.
Commissioner DeStito.
Thank you. I'd like to focus on, you provided in your report extensive data on labor statistics and working towards, you have a lot of, let me just say, you have a lot of great projects that you've described, you've been successful. Has there been any problem with workforce development and finding the workforce that you need for the new jobs that you're bringing to the community, and how are you dealing with that, if so?
I can speak for the Broome County area with Binghamton University there and SUNY Broome Community College. No, I think we have an excellent capacity for generating the workforce that we need. Our engineering programs have grown significantly. The technology programs at Broome have grown significantly. We don't have jobs for them. So I believe that we're on the higher end, the 4-year and 2-year degrees. We have a good supply. We have a lot of students who like to stay in the region. We're now trying to build those jobs for them. Maybe from the western side, Tom, you have another thought?
Well, at Corning, first of all, we have about 6,000 employees in the Valley, and we have 75% of our 32,000 employees are overseas because a lot of our customers are overseas. We find in the local area an outstanding workforce, and we have a number of applicants for each job, so there's not a shortage. What we do have to do some recruitment on is the highly specialized technical talent that is, PhDs that are very specifically focused in their area. So we do some recruitment and we bring those people into the area. But overall, our experience with the local labor force is that it's an outstanding asset, and it's one of the primary reasons we're as heavily concentrated in New York as we are.
And reaching into some of the populations is probably our main goal now. The veterans population, the opportunity agenda population, and bringing them into those workforce programs is the next step.
And I would, if you wouldn't mind, put in a plug for SUNY Works also. We started that program. We just hired our second employee. Our first one was in the finance area. So it was great actually having local individuals trained and staying right in the community.
Matt Driscoll.
Thank you for your report and your hard work, because I know it is hard work, what you do and the others. But we noticed in the collaboration section of your report that you focused on intra region collaborations. In fact, the Delhi project was noted here, but can you describe to us what you're thinking outside inter-regional collaborations that may exist or opportunities that you think may exist?
Probably the one that is has the highest profile and the best probability of success right now that I can think of is our interregional Hotspot Incubator program. The Central New York area and the North Country area, Clarkson University and Syracuse University, working with Cornell and Binghamton University and the Corning high-tech area, are working together to develop a venture fund. There's a couple of small venture funds in the Finger Lakes area, and we believe that if we can team together, offer more facilities, more expertise, as well as provide the opportunities for private investment from outside the region to come in, that we could offer something that maybe the Silicon Valley or the 128 Loop might not be able to offer. So that's one way of interregional cooperation, those three regions working on the hotspot.
I've got a couple specific ones. First, in the tourism area, we have a really exciting program called Wine, Water, and Glass, which takes the Glass Museum, links it with the wineries, and links it all the way up to Buffalo and Rochester. It's very successful in the tourism area. And then the other is an organization called Southern Tier Network, which is the fiber build that started basically in the west, is now moved to the center, and is also now going into Delaware County and to the east. And Michael's on that board, and what they've done in 3 years is pretty amazing.
Yeah, we've just proposed another expansion into the Binghamton area, hopefully looking to connect us with New York City. But again, all the universities and the health facilities and the 911 facilities that we're connecting with that, we're now looking at a potential another 133 miles of 144 pair fiber that's going to go throughout the southern tier. So connecting multiple counties with this project that originally started in a 3-county basis, connecting us with Monroe County, is now going further and further and further to help that technological hotspot.
That includes Yates and Monroe and Ontario that are outside of our region, and then to the west, Delaware and the Mohawk area. So it's really kind of, it started in our area and now has really grown, which has been terrific. Because in a rural area, having fiber and broadband is essential. And we didn't have it. I mean, I think when we started this, we had the lowest percentage, if I remember, in the state, and now we're really rapidly moving up.
Colonel Hesse.
Thank you for your presentation. I certainly appreciate and thank you and your organizations for what you do for veterans on both a personal and a professional level. But in your plan, you talk about on-the-job training opportunities for veterans. With the post 9/11 GI Bill, with veterans that are eligible for that, they have a stipend to live on as they're going through an approved training program. And I'm just curious what industries you may think are out there that are best suited for potential OJT opportunities for veterans and workforce development.
I would say the manufacturing sector, because the OJT programs that are offered, particularly through our Workforce Development Board, they match the individual with the company, and then they pay 50%. And I'm on the Workforce Development Board, and I'm absolutely impressed. Every meeting we're approving 10, 15, 20 of these contracts that are at either small to medium to large manufacturing companies. And again, I know at Corning we obviously hire veterans, but a number of the manufacturing companies do, utilize veterans, and I think Michael and some of the other tourism businesses do as well. But my answer is manufacturing is where they do the best. That one-on-one individual OJT training is the best.
Maybe somebody from AVRE could talk about the veterans that you've reached out to. Michael, could you comment about Watkins Glen?
Yeah, and the same for us. Education, as you know, Colonel Hesse, is the most important thing, and you've been directly involved with that. And we have a few veterans on our staff as we sit today. We also work with our county identifying other opportunities, and our county executive, Tim O'Hearn. So that's something that's very important to you. As you well know, our vice president is a veteran, and that's important for both of us, coming from veteran families and him being a veteran alone. So it's something that we fulfill every summer. We look for 3,000 to 4,000 temporary staff in the summer. So we're reaching out to a lot of folks. So that's been a very important component for us.
Mr. Kerwin.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I liked what you were doing in terms of certainly in the diesel truck area. Probably about once or twice a month, an opportunity overseas crosses my desk, and specifically in that area. And it sounds like you've already seen an awful lot of growth in that area. So certainly, that's a pretty smart move. Also, the tourism aspect of your plan, I thought was very good. One of the things I wanted to sort of explore a little bit, and especially related to your answer to the question about sort of workforce skills and the abundance as it is of engineers that you have in the region. And talk through with me a little bit about what you're trying to do in terms of attracting foreign investment, because that might be a good location for foreign companies as well.
Right. I shouldn't say that our engineers have a hard time finding jobs. They have a hard time finding jobs in the southern tier. They do well in Texas and New Jersey and California. We'd like to keep them here, as well as many of them are international students who are here on student visas, who then work hard on their occupational practical training programs. Many of them would like to stay here if they can work through that visa process, and I think they're great contributors to our economy, and we should encourage them to stay as much as we can. We have partnerships in Jordan. We have partnerships in Israel. We have partnerships in China and India. These partnerships are mostly academic and research-oriented, research and development projects. Some of them are specifically bringing PhD students from those countries to work on areas of mutual interest. I think the next step is, how do we use those connections? We're relatively young. How do we use those connections to build bridges into their industries and to create collaborative industrial projects between those countries? But right now, we're still just working on the student aspect and the academic and fundamental research aspect.
Commissioner Maddox.
Good afternoon. Briefly, can you share with us some of the conversations the council has had with respect to prioritizing one or more manufacturing industries? One of the conversations we engaged in earlier today was with the North Country, and they appear to be heading towards an acknowledgement that transportation-based industries may very well become a priority given their relationships with Bombardier and Nova Bus and Prevost and their focus going forward in aerospace. What have some of the conversations been like in the southern tier with respect to focusing on specific manufacturing industries, if any?
Well, the people we're actually talking to right now is Lockheed Martin, and they've got a very exciting project. They've been very successful, as you know, building the helicopters, but they've got some other opportunities that are coming forward. I would say what we kind of tend to find is 80% of the growth comes from within. So what our efforts have been largely focused on is talking to existing manufacturers about projects that they have, and as you'll notice, there's several in this year's proposal. So I think that's where the majority are going to come from going forward. As far as recruitment from outside, we really rely on leads from the state, and then within the individual county economic development directors, they have different marketing programs that tend to be focused on their county and their strengths. That would be my answer.
And I think if you go back in the history of the southern tier, we relied on one industry at a time: cigars, then shoes, and then IBM. And when they left, there was nothing there. So our strategy now is really to build a broader base, to spread it out, not to concentrate in one area and make the same mistake the fourth time. And so working in the area of energy, health sciences, biotechnology, as well as the traditional manufacturing facilities of the IBM legacy is important. But I think a broad-based approach would be more strategic for us right now.
The manufacturing today, as you well know, is really robotics, and it's state of the art. I mean, you go in these facilities, most people don't believe the way they operate because they're so automated, and they really require, you know, extensive computer skills and really strong math and science, which is why so much emphasis is on STEM. But I agree with Harvey that diversification has been really our goal, is to have a diverse manufacturing base, and I think we're doing pretty well in that.
Let me thank all of you. You're right on schedule. We got to see the film, and we have really enjoyed your presentation. As usual, you guys are in top form. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much.